for another day. As you can see, I am in an undisclosed location this morning for Bible study, but I'm so glad to be with you during what is in Florida spring break week. And so today we find ourselves continuing in the book of Mark on this 40-day journey between Ash Wednesday and Easter. And today's Bible study is brought to you by ChristTable.today. Have a great Bible study beginning right at Easter, the whole 50, which is going to take you deeply into the Bible and to your spiritual health. And if you'd like to be a part of that journey with us, there's more information on my Facebook page as well as Christ Table Facebook page. And all you need to do to be a part of that study, to get the little study guide, is go to ChristTable.today. And anyone who's donated between now and Easter will receive one of those Bible studies for absolutely free. Today we find ourselves in Mark chapter 10, verses 32 through 45. Jesus has now set himself directly towards Jerusalem in this passage, and I love how it begins in our reading today in Mark 10:32, where it says that they were now on their way up to Jerusalem, and Jesus was walking ahead of them. Just that little line was a reminder to me that Jesus was intent on accomplishing whatever it was that he was going to have to accomplish and face in Jerusalem. In fact, when you continue reading here, it says the disciples actually were kind of falling behind from him. And so I think that though we don't know fully what they understood about what was coming in Jerusalem, they understood that something was probably going to go down in Jerusalem, that there was a lot of gasoline that had been being poured on this relationship between Jesus and the religious leaders, and it wasn't going to take much more than a match strike in order to ignite all of that tension. And so, knowing that was coming and probably feeling their intensity and their concern, Jesus pulls them again aside in our passage and once more begins to describe everything that was about to happen to him. This is, in Mark's gospel, the most transparent yet that Jesus has been in revealing to them what's about to happen during Holy Week: the betrayal, the trial, the crucifixion. And it is also the third and final time here in Mark that Jesus does that. And so we're coming nearer to the conclusion of Mark as we begin to see some of these storylines wrap themselves up. And this is the third time that Jesus has told them that he is going to be sentenced to die, that he's going to be murdered, but on the third day, and he says it right here in verse 34, after 3 days, he's going to rise again. It's hard to really, I think, comprehend, though, how much of this they fully understood. Sometimes, I think, for us, things go in one ear and out the other, and we don't fully comprehend the full weight of what we're hearing or what's going on. And it seems to be that that's what's happening here with the disciples as well. This is just so outside the realm of what they're able to comprehend or what they're willing to comprehend, that they just don't know what to do with that information, so they either reject it or they ignore it and set it aside. You see, this journey that they had been on had been a journey of one where they were heroes, where Jesus was a hero. He was seen as being the savior of the Jewish people, not the spiritual savior of the Jewish people, but the political and military savior of the Jewish people. The Messiah was supposed to come, was supposed to be a great leader, was perhaps even going to be a great king, was going to make the Israelite nation back in the form of its old glory in the kingdom of David and Solomon. And so their expectations for the kingdom and the role that they would play and the respect and the authority that would come to them is something that had really gotten deeply into their hearts. And to hear Jesus talk about death and to hear him talk about betrayal, to hear him talk about essentially a catastrophic breakdown in this movement that essentially destroys it as a political movement, this is not what they'd signed up for. They signed up to be heroes, to be vice regents in a kingdom. They didn't They didn't sign up to be wanted by the government. They didn't sign up to be perhaps next in line for a crucifixion, for a capital punishment. And so this is probably why in the next part of our passage today, in verse 25, James and John, the sons of Zebedee, who were called sons of thunder, said, "Teacher, we want you to do us a favor." And he said, "What's your request?" "Well, when you sit on your glorious throne, we want places of honor next to you, one on the right side and one on the left side." They either didn't get it, couldn't get it, or intentionally were trying not to get it. Maybe it's one last hope. Maybe they were hoping that this was just a rough patch in the journey from where they were to being leaders in an incredible kingdom, political kingdom. And so there was still hope for them to be famous, for them to be important, for them to be seated at the right hand and the left hand of God. There were 12. There's only two sides to the throne, the left side and the right side. They were positions of power. James and John wanted those positions of power. Jesus has never taken kindly to people who want positions of power, at least not power in how the world defines power. Jesus defined power, as we've been saying, and the people who are last shall be the most powerful. The people who are serving the under-resourced and the poor shall be the greatest in the kingdom, not those who have the most money or the most possessions. So Jesus replies to them in verse 38, "You have absolutely no idea what you are asking for." You don't know. Are you able to drink from this bitter cup of suffering that I'm about to drink from? Are you able to be baptized in the baptism of suffering that I'm about to be baptized with? Jesus says, you're talking so much crazy talk. You have absolutely no idea what's about to happen. You have absolutely no idea what you're asking for. And so Jesus says, you're not able to drink from all of the pain and suffering that's about to come our way. You're just not going to be able to do it. And, "Oh, yes, they are. We're able to do that." And Jesus said to them, "Well, you actually are going to drink from this suffering. But it's not up to me who gets to sit on my right hand or my left hand. God has prepared that place for those whom he's chosen." Jesus was right. History tells us that each and every one of the disciples drank from a cup of suffering in their journey after the cross. Now, the 10 other disciples, verse 41, says that they heard what James and John had asked and they were indignant. Why were they indignant? Well, because they wanted those seats. It was like they went behind the other 10's back directly to Jesus, pulled him off to the side to try to get him to commit to something that was in their favor and against everybody else's favor. And the other 10 disciples were like, "Yeah, no, we're not going to have any of that." So Jesus, because now an uproar has been created once again between these disciples, Jesus calls them all together and says, "You know that the rulers of this world lord it over their people, and officials flaunt their authority over those under them." Jesus says in this world it's about power and authority and prestige and how many subjects that you have. And this line, "But among you it will be different." Not among you it should be different. Not among you it might be different. Not among you I hope it will be different. Not among you I hope that you'll recognize the poor and the oppressed. Not among you I hope that you will follow rather than lead. Not among you I hope that you will give possessions away rather than hoard them together. Not among you I hope that you will let others have a seat next to the throne or at the table rather than taking the best seat yourselves. Not I hope that those things are the case. No, among you it will be different. Jesus gives no other option here but for it to be different, which I think to me implies that if we are any of those things, if we are driven by success, if we are driven by authority, if we, like James and John, are trying to weasel our way into places of prominence and importance that aren't ours, if, like the rich man, we are more concerned about our possessions than we are giving those things up and allowing God to have a central place, if we're any of these things, we are not followers of the way. There's no middle road. Jesus doesn't give a middle road here. Among you, it will be different. Which strongly implies that if we're not different, then we're not with him. These are tough words, but they're important words, because Jesus has continued to say over and over again that your responsibility as a follower of me is to be 100% all in, to not hold anything back, to leave everything behind. Whoever wants to be a leader among you is going to have to serve. Verse 44, whoever wants to be first among you is going to have to serve, is going to have to be a slave to other people. For even the Son of Man, speaking of him, even I, came not to be served, but to serve others, and to give up my life. To give up my life for something great. A ransom, a payment. Important words that we reflect on, and important words that we honestly must pay attention to. Among you, it will be different. And so, may it be so. May it be that among us, it will be different. It's been great to be with you this morning. Don't forget, go check out ChristTable.today. Looking forward to sending you that whole 50 Bible study here in a week and a half. They're coming out very soon. Got a limited supply of them, but right now there are still ones available. So ChristTable.today, donate. You'll find it in the mail to you in a week and a half. Looking forward to being back with you tomorrow as we continue on in the book of Mark. But until that time,